Alright, there we go. Steam has started. Welcome to another episode of Mike Yells at Himself and Talks to a Screen in his room. We are going to be doing some midterm review today, unless some people got some good questions on functions. Let me have some coffee, let me check out the news, and maybe I'm gonna start on my keyboard. I don't know. Bored of just kind of going through the news every time. Alright, let's take a look what's going on in the internet today. Where's that stupid... Oh, okay. It's going to be over here. That's a little annoying. I have to figure out a way to pep that out. Darkula? That sounds fake. Is this real? What is this? Darkula fishing campaign. Why is it called Darkula? Fishing as a service. Well, that sucks. I don't want to hear that ever again. Named Darkula uses 20,000 domains to spoof brands and steal credentials from Android and iPhone users. Unlike traditional phishing methods, Darkula employs modern technologies like JavaScript, React, Docker, and Harbor, enabling continuous updates and new feature additions without clients needing to reinstall the phishing kits. The phishing kit offers 200 phishing templates that impersonate. Wait, hold on. Hold on. They're talking about this kit has all this stuff in it that I guess you can download this like some kind of software. So yeah, the SMS based ones I'm very familiar with. I think we all get some of those every now and then, right? Like you get like a message saying a package arrived that you didn't order or something like that. That I'm familiar with. So it says that this uses RCS, which I believe that is 4G messaging and stuff. Right? Like when you want to like send pictures and stuff, I'm pretty sure that lets you send media and things like that. SMS, blah, blah, blah. RCS stands for Advanced Messaging. Oh, you know what? No, I'm stupid. MMS is what I'm thinking of. MMS is the one that goes over 4G. So RCS is after that, even. So it lets you take advantage of features, things like WhatsApp. For instance, it has full support for read receipts and typing indicators. Oh, okay, gotcha. So this is more like a. Feel like I feel like I do still get RCS messages, but okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So they're using better text messages and stuff. Cybercriminals after multiple app ideas. Oh, that's interesting. Let me reread that part. Okay, that's interesting. So one of the things that it seems iMessage implemented is you're not allowed to click on a link if you haven't replied to it, which is smart. Because if you just get a message with the link and you click on it, especially with phones where you're at more of a risk of an actual kind of malware kind of thing. That's actually a good solution to that. Well, attempted solution, but it sounds like the way they get around that is they prompt you to kind of reply, right? So then once you reply, then you'll get the link, and that is interesting. How far ahead of them? How far ahead of the user these guys are? Cool software. Not cool. It sucks. This is probably what making my job miserable. But goodness gracious, what more can I find out about this? Is this like a GitHub thing? It's just like a known thing? I'm not looking for Dracula, dumbass. I'm looking for Darkula. No, I didn't mean Dracula. Please search for Darkula. Fishing. Recording a fishing website builder. That's funny. Stephen soon did some go to the animal path. These guys think he's like a real person or something, but it's like a fishing service. Um, yeah, I can't imagine I'd find it like on GitHub or anything like that. But let's try. Oh, that's a JavaScript theme even. Oh, that's gonna make it pain in the ass to find. Yeah, I'm not gonna find this anywhere like crazy. All right, good to know though. But that is what's making my life miserable. No, it's not miserable. We're actually pretty okay lately. Of course, now I say that, I'm gonna get attacked right now. What else we got here? More Windows updates. Wait, what? Interesting. If true, spyware vendors behind 50% of zero-day exploits exploited in 2023. That I would not have expected. But now I think about it, it makes sense. Because if you want a 0-day, you want it for spyware, right? Because if you can get a good enough thing that nobody knows about, that'll let you kind of get a foothold in a system, then I mean, that's what you need, right? That's kind of what you need, I guess, for your spyware. Now I think about it. Yeah, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but I didn't know that that was such a big industry still. I shouldn't say I should know that. I do know that, but I guess I didn't think it was that big in the landscape of things. Spyware. Commercial surveillance vendors. Is that stuff like where you buy a spyware to spy someone else on them? I think that's what they're talking about. Right? So that's actually not even what I thought. I was thinking like malicious spyware. But they're saying commercial surveillance vendors. What is that even? I'm getting the report about it. Like, I'm not getting a definition of what that actually is. Commercial sales. So we know about spyware. Key findings. While prominent CSVs garner public attention and headlines, there are dozens of others that are less noticed. Proliferation causes real-world harm. I don't think I need to go over that one. If governments ever claimed to have a monopoly on the most advanced cyber capabilities, that era is over. That is a bold statement, but not necessarily out of the realm of craziness, right? Like, governments have always kind of been behind the times. But then again, not necessarily in the spying place. Like, CIA is kind of top of the game when it comes to spying, I think. But okay, CSV's closed with just Google. Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. We gotta Google. It's a problem for you too. It's a problem for everyone. Business of 0 days in spyware software. CSV's off. Pay-to-play tools that bundle an exploit chain designed to get passive security measures, along with the spyware and necessary infrastructure in order to collect desired data from a target user. Can I get like a list of these things? I want to know who they are. And I know one of them. So when I was looking for like, it was one time I was looking at this a long time ago, like surveillance software. I think one of them was like My Spy. I wonder if they're still around. Yeah, these guys are cell phone tracker. So they are one of the ones in this game. Oh wait, sorry, it's M Spy now, not My Spy. It says a parental control app, but it does way more than that. It tracks everything on the phone. It tracks your location. You can push payloads to it. You can do lots of stuff with it. At least that's what it used to do. Maybe it's different now. Let me think. Surveillance software. Maybe I'll get something with that very euphemistic keyword. Surveillance. I Spy. Okay. No, that's not. That's a video surveillance solution. This is all video surveillance. That's not what I'm looking for. Hmm. Spyware vendors. Oh, here we go. Oh, that was the link I freaking clicked. It's not here? I think if I kept reading, I would find out. Let's see. What are some of them? Sci4 Gate and RCS Lab. Achieve cyber tranquility. I'm so fucking tired of the cyber everything, you guys. I can't. I really just can't. What the hell is cyber tranquility? Is that not using Reddit for a few days or something like that? Dumb. The internet's dumb, people. I don't make the rules. Intellexa. What is this one? That sounds very fancy. Intellexa. Ooh, Treasury sanctions members of the Intellexa commercial spyware company. So I have a feeling I'm not going to get on their site because they are sanctioned by the U.S. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to find their site. Actually, let me see. Press in Google. Because DuckDuckGo sucks. Oh, they still have their LinkedIn page. Providing you a strong intelligence alliance. Visit website. It works on my machine. Oh, no, it doesn't. I spoke too soon. It looks like their website is either down or it's blocked in US. I don't have my VPN on this machine, so I can't really check. Okay. That was a fun find. I feel like I've heard this one. NSO Group. Is really from right, Pegasus. That's where I know them from. I have heard of NSO Group before. They are still around. Oh my god. The fucking drip on this website. Is this really necessary? Whatever. Can I work for them? Yeah, they got psych analyst positions open, security research open. I don't think I'm going to go to Israel, though, for that. At least not right now. Neg Group. That's a terrible name. I feel like I should do like a tier list of these. Like what do I think's the best name? Who do I think's got the best websites? I don't give a shit about their software. Like it's like fucking spyware. I could care less. God, they don't even mention anything about the spyware stuff. It's just all fucking. Ugh. The beauty is too much for my brain to handle. Just give me text, people. That's all I want. Is I want text on a page. I'm bored of it. I'm bored of looking at it. What's this one? Veriston. This looks suspiciously empty. They got the same fucking overly designed nonsense. Products. They don't say anything specific about their products, really. They just develop stuff. Huh. I wonder how they even figure out, like, how they sell spyware stuff. Because, like, it doesn't even say on their website. Like, I guess you just gotta freaking contact these people and say, like, yo, I'm into some shady shit here. Can you help me out? And they'll go like, yeah, bro. We'll help you out with some shady shit. Internet's terrible. It's terrible. Alright. That's enough news, I think. What time is it now? 7:20 and no one's here yet? I thought people were gonna come by. Well, I'll play around on my piano for a little bit, I think. And then I'm gonna just go over the midterm and clip that shit. Oops. Not knocking everything over here. Got it. Oh no. What am I gonna unplug here? Yes, this. My keyboard. I'm gonna fit this back here. Here we go. Come on. Oy vey. Where's my USB ports? There you go. Okay. Messed around with synth stuff in a long time. I think I have a good enough excuse. Oh, dusty, 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 dusty. Can't imagine there are any musicians out there watching, but in case you're curious, this is the Arturia keyboard I picked up from Arturia Mini Lab Mark II keyboard I picked up from Guitar Center not too long ago. I like it. It's still together after some abuse. Unlike the what's it, the Akai Professional thing that everybody buys with the little joystick that broke like within a year. This one's still good after about a year or two. So I'm happy with it. This is bulky. I did not plan out this setup. Oh well. Alright, let's try to make something completely from scratch. I haven't done this in a very long time. So, I'm going to relearn this on stream with everyone else. So, to anybody who hasn't seen a synth software out there before, this probably looks like garbage to you. Because there's so much crap going on, not really clear where to start. Right? Hit a note and it makes some buzzing. Whatever. Boring. So let's try to make something. Let's try to kind of come up with a tone we want. I kind of want to do like a nice pretty tone. I've done a lot of like distorted stuff. Let's do like a nice pretty tone. For pretty tones, I always really like sine waves. They have a choice of both doing classic and modern in this one. So in general, I'd say just sine or modern sine. Let's just go with sine. Let's hear how it sounds. That's not correct. Um. Oh, I'm on oscillator 3. That's why. Okay. Yeah. So one of the things about this program is you have three oscillators, right? And you control which ones are muted and not by here. Right, so if you wanted to do three oscillators at the same time, you control it with that. There's actually a guy called, I might as well plug this guy because he's a lot smarter than I am. Let me go to YouTube. This one. Come down here. No, come down here, window. Window! You must listen to me. Obey my command, window. Oh my goodness. Where's my... Losing my mind, people. I'm losing it. Let's just bring this down here, huh? Close some of these. Close one of these. Well, not that. Let me go to my channel. No, not my channel. I want to go to YouTube. Where's my subscriptions? Where is the list of subscriptions? Have to zoom out for that crap? Yeah, you do. That's so stupid. Okay. Where was this guy? Starts with a G. Garen. Yeah, this guy. So I learned everything I know about this software from this guy. He has a video on, like, I think it's called Surge XT the movie. Yeah, this one. Awesome, awesome video. Really highly recommended if you really want to learn this tool. I'm just kind of doing a quick little, for fun, little stupid thing here. Let's make it sine. I always like sine waves. Sine waves are so nice and warm. Okay. Let's make it a little more like buttery. So portamento is like kind of how things slide from note to note. See, so not much there, but if I... So you can hear like it's like sliding down to the note now, or sliding up. I don't know why there's a delay. That's probably because of the stream. So one of the things I'm hearing that's kind of annoying me is I'm hearing like that clicking sound. Maybe you can hear it if I play it like this. You hear that clicking like between each note. What's going on is by default it's going to give you an attack on each note. The attack is ultimately determined by these two things. One is the attack on the frequency. The other is the attack on the amplitude. The attack on the amplitude is the one that is making that clicking sound because the sound starts like click. It starts and comes up. So if you want to kind of take that click out, what you need to do is smooth that attack out a little bit. So we want to maybe make it already taken out that attack. Let's take it a little more even. I feel like I want more of the swell to this one. I'm clipping my desktop audio. Whoops. Sorry, people listening. That's not good for your ears. Still clipping. Let's make it even more. Kind of like that. Okay, so what I'm adding there is, so I'm changing the attack, what is this, decay, I think? Decay? The sustain and the release. Sustain determines when you're holding it, how loud it is. Decay, I think, is kind of in between the attack and the sustain, so like what happens... So it's kind of determining like how it's swelling almost. Let's have a good swell on that one. Okay. And then this release is like once I let go, no, like how long does it stay? So if I hit just like quickly, you see that decay kind of happening. Okay, now this feels a little empty. I feel like I want more. Like I hear a lot of bass in this, not so much of the middle and the higher end things. So let's add an. People are probably going to disagree with me on this. I personally like to add more oscillators. Some people would say mess with. Let me try messing with it a little bit. Oh, that's nice. I always forget about this setting. So this determines how many voices are playing that note at the same time. And honestly, 2 is usually enough to kind of really give it some dimension. Oh, that's great. I love that. Nice. The wave shape might give us some interesting stuff. Now, see, that's going to change it too much. Let me add another oscillator. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's try. Let's do just a classic saw. Unmute that. Make it low. I don't really like that buzzing so much. I mean, it might be cool for some things, but that's not really what I wanted. Let me try something with a little less buzzing. Let's try a square. And let me do the modern square. I don't actually know the difference between them, like technically, but I'm assuming there's some slight difference to audiophiles. I couldn't tell you. That's kind of okay, but a little too much top. This almost sounds like it. It almost sounds like there's an extra tone hidden in there that's not supposed to be there. So let me see if I can maybe change this wave just a little bit. No, that's not what I'm looking for. So that affects the amplitude. You know what? I feel like this is the wrong approach. I feel like it's just too much clashing. Let's try doing another sine, but pitch it differently. So let's put it down an octave and listen to that. Can't really hear it. Turn it up more. Now you hear it, but I don't know if that's what I want. Let's do an octave up. Oh, yes. Oh, see how much louder that sounds? We didn't even attach the volume. We just added more frequencies, right? So now it's making a much fuller sound just by doing that. almost like a haunted organ. I like this. Very cool. All right, that was fun. I'm gonna come back to this later because now I think I'm like halfway through the stream and nobody said anything. Yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and save this so far. I'll call it Spoopy Boy. Well, Spoopy Organ. That way I know at least what kind of instrument it is. Organ. Put it in. What are the categories again? Oh yeah, this would be a pad because it's a piano thing. All right, that was a fun little diversion. All right, so since no one's showing up, let's go ahead and try to do this midterm from scratch. Close this stuff. Why can't I close anything? I closed a dockable window. I don't know what's going on with my browser right now, but I will live with it. Set up here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. Screen time. All right, and we'll record it just so I don't have to do any editing later. One last bit of coffee. One last look at the chat. Nothing. Where is the, No, no, I do not want that. I don't know where whatever. YouTube here. Let me go to channel. This is my stream. That's not what I wanted. No. Go to the analytics one. There I am. Okay, cool. All right, we're all set to do this. Let me pull up VS Code. Yum. Pull this boyo down. Close this stuffo. File, open folder. Let's go ahead and call this midterm 24. Open. Yes, I trust myself. And we'll go ahead and make a new file, call it screen time. All right, let's get this show on the road. Start recording. Hello, friends and family, cats and dogs. The moment you've all been waiting for is here. We are going to be reviewing the midterm today. Reviewing the midterm today. So before we left for spring break back on March 15th, I gave you guys a nice little midterm problem. I think it was nice. You guys might disagree. But it should give you kind of an idea of what a real program might kind of look like and how you might approach it in a quick amount of time. The timing of this is probably the hardest part, right? Most times in life you're not going to have 15 minutes to solve a problem. So this was sort of a shit test to see how much you could cobble together in a short amount of time. And most of you did pretty good on it, to be honest with you. But I'm going to show you how I might approach this problem from scratch. I have not looked at my answer key in a little bit. I haven't even looked at this problem since I gave it to you guys 2 weeks ago, so I'm pretty unfamiliar with how it works, honestly. So we are going to do this problem from scratch and talk a little bit about how I go about solving these kinds of problems. Okay, so first things first, let's give it a good read-through. So part of digital well-being is managing our screen time to ensure we're not straining our eyes day to day. Both Android and iPhone have digital well-being settings that I'm sure you're all familiar with, but in case you're not, they look something like this. That kind of keep track of how much time you're spending in your apps. And generally, you don't want to go over more than 2 hours a day. I don't think anybody actually meets this except for old people, but that's what they're recommending that people do. So it might be helpful to kind of have an app that tracks our screen time. And since we know a little bit of Python, we can implement something like this. It'll be text-based, it'll be a little simple, but that's okay. That'll be the core logic behind how this app is going to be built. Okay, so the goal of this program will be to ask the user for the last week of screen time, going back 1 day at a time, and print a report of their overall average and highest screen time, so overall, average, and highest screen time in a similar way that the iPhone does, or Android does. Okay, so I give you a sample little user session of how this might look. These are going to be like inputs that the user might enter. So 1 day ago, they might enter 1:59 minutes. They might enter something like 1:15 minutes with capital. That should be okay. They might enter something like 1:51 minutes. What I didn't allow for this program was things that aren't in minutes. So anything that has hours in it or anything that is misformatted should not be considered a valid unit. Right, but as soon as the user enters the correct one, like, so notice I'm stuck on day 4 until they enter the correct time. And the other part is to reject like negative values and things like that, so non-digit values. And then at the very end, you have this nice little report, printing the screen time out, the total, the average, the worst, and the worst day. And a little message that says whether you're over 2 hours or not. Okay, so to help you guys out, I gave you some details, which, if you're trying to do it all at once, might have been a little overwhelming. But if you take it one by one, it breaks down the problem kind of nicely. So the details of this are to force the user to enter time in minutes separated by a space. For example, 45 minutes or 5 minutes, but not 5 hours, not 7 minutes like this, not 5 hours, 7 minutes, and not negative 7 minutes. Okay, so I give you kind of an algorithm, a plan to kind of think about this. So we're going to need variables to keep track of the total screen time, the highest screen time, and the day with the highest screen time, and of course the average. For each day, starting from 1 to 7 days ago, we need to ask the user for the amount of minutes they spend on their device. The prompt must specify the day we're asking for, but the polarization doesn't matter. For each of those days, you're going to separate the input into a number part and a unit part, where you want to check if it's a digit or if it contains the word minutes exactly. Then you're going to add the number part to the total screen time, so you're kind of extracting that number out of that text. If the number part is greater than the maximum screen time, so this is yet another check, right? So we're still not off day 1, but if the number part is greater than the maximum screen time, then that means it has to be the new maximum screen time, right? Kind of makes intuitive sense. If I have 120 minutes one day, and then I have 125 the next day, it's bigger than the other one, so we got to make that the new maximum. Right, once we get through each of the days, right, so once we take in 7 of those minutes and values and stuff, we want to finally print the report. So we want to start with a heading like this. We want to have the total, average, and worst day, each on their own line, kind of like this, with the values on the right-hand side. And we're going to be doing a little bit of conversion, right? So we'll be converting the value to hours with minutes left over. And then, of course, end with 25 dashes and that little message. I give you some string functions that might help you out, but to be honest, you probably didn't need this little reference because you guys have the string function reference from the last week anyway. Oops, I meant to click this. All right, so looks like a lot, but let's try to break it down to its essentials, right? So there's going to be an input part of this program and there's going to be an output. So the input part is going to be making sure that the value that the user entered is correct, that it is in a format that we can work with. The last part is just going to be about printing out those values in a nice, pretty format. right? So we have an input part and an output part. Let's start with taking in the inputs and trying to make sense of that. So the first thing I would do is probably take that first instruction here, because this is a pretty straightforward instruction, right? We want three variables to keep track of the total, the highest, and the day with the highest. Right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to have the total screen time. We're just going to start from 0. Let me go ahead and minimize this and make this a little smaller. There we go. All right, so we start with a total of 0. The highest time is also going to start from 0, right? Because it has to start somewhere. And, you know what? Let me call it the worst time, just to be a little more consistent, because I want to call this one the worst day. And let me case that correctly. Right, so the worst time is going to be the highest amount of minutes. The worst day is going to be the day that that happened on. All right. So we have three variables. How are we going to ask the user for 7 days of information? Well, let's start with 1 and see if we can make sense of that. So we know that to ask for input from a user, we're going to need to use the input function in some way. So we want to say input. What are we asking the user for again? Let me just double check that. I say something wrong. I kind of give them a prompt like this. So I say something like total screen time 1 days ago. I use the little, yeah, I'll just make it 1 day ago. We'll start with that. We'll fix it up later. Okay. Input has to be returned somewhere, right? Input is a function that returns something, not a function that does something. So we are going to put this in a variable of some sort. Let's just call it screen time. Right, that'll be like the screen time for that day. Now, if I didn't know what to do at this point, it might be helpful to kind of make a simplification of this problem. Right, so maybe solving the minutes thing right away with 159 minutes is a little hard. Let's start with just kind of assuming that it's a number. So we'll go ahead and turn it into an int right away. Okay, and then our goal is for that first day, we want to add that to the total. So we're going to have some kind of add the total screen time to the total. And then finally, at some point, we're going to print out the total. Let's just keep it simple. Let's not do any formatting. We're going to have the total printed out, just to make sure that it kind of works. We only are going 1 day, so it doesn't make sense to do worst day yet, or worst time. Let's just test the program out so far, make sure that we can add a number to another number. All right, so I go ahead and press play. That's for the total screen time 1 day ago. If I enter something like 125, presumably minutes, it's going to add that to the total correctly. All right, so far so good. So now we need to make 7 of these guys, right? We want to ask and then add that number to the total, a total of 7 times. If I were lazy, well, actually, this isn't lazy. If you wanted to make your life hard, you could like copy this a bunch of times, right? So you get 7 days, edit each one, right? But that's nothing like a programmer. That's going to take a lot of time. Who wants to do all that work? What's important is that these are the steps we want to repeat. Ask the user for a time, add that time to the total. And we want to do that a total of 7 times. So in your head, you should be thinking repeat has to be some kind of loop, right? If I want to repeat things for a set amount of times, it's probably better to use the for loop. You could use a while loop. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You could start day equals 0 and then add to it to make a while loop. But to keep things simple, I'm going to start day from 1 and go to the end of the week. So making that explicit, I'm going to say for day in range. So it's basically like saying I in range, but I'm giving it a better name for the variable to describe what it's doing. So for day in range 1 through 8, remember if we go to 7, we're not going to include 7. So we have to be off by 1. Okay. This little code is going to repeat this little process a total of 8 times. Let's go ahead and see what that does. Sorry, did I say 8? I meant 7. 7 is what I meant. Well, we'll find out soon enough. All right, so let's answer some numbers. 123, blah, blah, blah. You can see it's probably not the best behavior for a program, but it does functionally get the job done. You probably would have gotten a lot of credit if all you had was this, because this was really the core logic of the program that you needed to get. So you might notice it's a little weird, right? It's saying 1 day ago every time. So it might be helpful to put the day inside of the string somewhere, right? So instead of 1, I want to have the number day. 2 ways you can do this with string formatting. I'm going to do the way I prefer, which is the F string. So we put a little F in front of the string. We put brackets where we want to put our variable, and we'll put the name of the variable inside. Take a look how VS Code colors this. It's kind of makes it clear what's going on here. So the orange stuff is the string, like that's the stuff that's the data that you're entering in. This little thing is a special character, right? The brackets represent that you want to fill in a variable here. And the little F just represents that we want to use the formatting thing. If we don't do that, take a look what happens to the color. This is still colored blue, but it's all in one string. And it's going to print out literally this character. I'll go ahead and show you that real quick. Right? It prints out day literally. So as soon as I put that F in front, it's going to be completely different. And I need to run this again. Right, screen time 1 day ago. Oh, I can't clear the screen. All right, whatever. We'll have to live with it. 123, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now we got prompts that are responsive. We got 7 prompts. We are adding up the totals, and we're adding to the total. So far, so good. Okay. So now let's think about, so given a number, right, so the screen time is going to be an integer of some sort. Right, so assuming that that is a number, we want to check, let's go back to our little plan here. We want to separate into a number and a minutes part. We're not going to do that yet. Right now we're keeping it as an integer. We have the add to the total screen time. If the number part is greater than the maximum screen time, then it's the new maximum screen time. And update both variables, keeping track of the max time and the day with the max time. Right, that'll be the day that we're currently on, basically. Okay, so let's try to translate that into code. So we want to see if the entered screen time, right, the thing that the user gave us, if that's bigger than the worst time we have already, which of course for the first one, that's always going to be true, right? As long as we enter something bigger than 0, you're going to have something like that. I saw a view, but no chat. All right. Maybe that was just me viewing it, I bet. All right, back to the problem. So if the screen time is bigger than the worst time, then that means the new worst time has to be whatever the user entered, right? If they entered 50 and it's bigger than 0, then that's the new screen time. Oh, sorry, wrong way, right? So that means that the worst time has to be the screen time. That's not what I wanted to enter. Let's try that again. Screen time. And we also want to know what the worst day is. Well, if it's the worst time, the day we're on is the worst day, right? So the worst day is just going to be the day that we're on. Okay, we know we're going to have to print these guys out at some point. So let's go ahead and print out all those values, see if they're correct. Print worst time. Print worst day. Go ahead and press play. Okay, total screen time 1 day ago. Let's vary it up a little bit. So let's say the first one's 50. Now we have 123, maybe 1,000, something crazy. And now we'll just do 123 for the rest. Okay, so total's correct. We found that the worst time, right, because this one is the second print statement that happens, so it has to be right after total. That's going to be our worst time is 1,000, right? That's the biggest number we entered. And the worst day is it happened on the 3rd day. So far, so good, right? Now we got something that tracks the total, the worst time, and and the worst day. All right, so that is a good chunk of the problem done. We haven't even talked about the details really yet. So let's try, well, we have one more thing to do, right? We have the average to worry about. So let's figure out what the average would be. Well, we already have everything summed up in total, and it's across 7 days. So an average is just going to be the total divided by 7. So the total across 7 days. In the problem, I wasn't specific about rounding, so in this case, integer division will do just fine here. Right, that'll round it to the closest number, either down or up, depending on, well, it's going to round it down, sorry. It's always going to round it down. I don't know why I said down or up. All right, let's see what we got so far. All right, so we'll do the same thing, 50, 123, 1,000, and the rest of the days were normal. Oh, did I screw up something? Oh, what's this one telling me? So it says name average is not defined. We don't have a variable called average, do we? So we're going to have to call this total, right? That's what I wanted to divide. Oh, I see a view. Someone's watching. No comment yet, though. Let me go ahead and press on. Feel free to chime in, though. I will be looking back and forth. Okay, so now I got to run this to make sure it works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do 123. We're going to do 50, 1,000, 123. 123 is a fun number. Okay, and you can see I got the total here. I got the average is something kind of close to 123. This obviously biases the average a little bit. Oh, I got something in chat. I can take a pause. Hello, squad. I wonder who that could be. Hello, squad. Despite my best efforts at improving the latency of this dumb video, it's still like 5 seconds. I have it at low latency and everything, too. Oh, well. Let's see if squad's got a question before I go on. Let me go ahead and pause the recording, too. Okay. Where was I with the... I keep clicking back and forth like a madman. I want to go here. Here. All right, no questions yet. Let me go ahead and continue on with going through this midterm. All right, folks watching, picking up from here. So far we have the total, the average, and the worst time and the worst day accounted for. Let's go ahead and run it so far to see how it works. Let me just check up on the chat here. Cool. Okay, so screen time 1 day ago. We go ahead and do 123. We go ahead 123, 1,000, 123, 123, 123. Okay, so we got our total, we got our average, we got the worst day, and the day that happened. Oh, that was embarrassing. Okay, so where do we want to go from here? So, we have the basic values and everything, so now we want to get the details here. Okay. So instead of just assuming it's a number, all right, so to catch you guys up who just joined the stream, I'm going over the midterm. So far I went ahead and defined my variables. I defined my 7 prompts here. If you want to go back, scroll back to the video just the past few minutes, you can kind of see how I came up with this section. And if the screen time is greater than the worst time, we update the screen time and the worst day. Any questions from chat? Okay, no questions so far. So, so we want to figure out how can we make this input a little smarter, right? Like how can we figure out an input like 5 minutes or things with words in it? How can we split that stuff out? So first thing we have to do is we can't trust the input. So we're going to take out this little int thing. Right? We can't trust that the user is going to enter just a number at this point. They're going to enter something like 5 minutes or 5 hours or something like that, some kind of phrase. Okay, so let's go back to my program instructions to kind of guide me. We want to separate the separate the input into a number part that includes everything up to the first space, and a unit part that includes everything after the space. Okay, so for this one, I was heavily inclined to use find for this one, right? We want to find the location of the space and then slice the string up to that position. You could also use something like split or partition, but those things make lists and tuples, which are a little tricky to work with. We haven't talked too much about them. I'll give you an example of split here just so you can see it. Right, like this will split up on all the spaces, but what if we had like something like 2 hours and 15 minutes? Now you have 2 hours, 15 minutes, like all in one list, which isn't necessarily what you want. So the find function was really the key for this one. All right, so. And guys, feel free to interrupt me at any time, by the way. I'm just doing this for posterity's sake, for people watching a little bit later. If you guys got a question, want to interrupt me, please feel free. But anyway, continuing on with this, we want to split this into a number part and into a unit part. All right, so first thing we got to do is find the space. So I'll say that the space is screen time dot find space. All right, if you weren't sure how to use the find function, you could have found it. You could have found find on the. What is going on with my browser that I can't click crap? Whatever. Let's just go ahead and open it. The find thing. Right, so if we wanted to find the word welcome, for example, in a certain text, we use text.find the word that we're looking for. All right, so we're going to find the space, and we're going to split it into a number part and a unit part. So the number part is going to be that first half of the word, right? Everything up to the space. So you might do a slice like this. Screen time. Start from 0, go up to the space. Okay, and then the unit part's going to be everything afterwards. So we're going to use unit part. Screen time. And this was the part where I think a lot of people got tripped up. Where do we start from? Do we want to start from the space, or do we want to start from one after the space? Well, you could have done it either way. You just have to think carefully about what you want to check for. All right, so when in doubt, print it out. Let's see what these values are when we enter in something. You know, let me not call it the unit part. Let me just call it the unit. Print number, print unit. We go ahead and press play. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Right, I get an error because that's not an integer now, so that's something we're going to have to fix. But take a look at how this split this up, right? And actually, this is because it didn't have a space, so this was an example of something that doesn't work, actually, now I think about it, right? We were looking for something that's 123 minutes. But how did this one work? What this realized is it didn't find a space, right? So it returned -1, and we went up to -1. That's going to be the number 12. Let's do it with something that is in the format we were actually looking for. So something like 15 space minutes. All right, we have 15 and then nothing after. I wasn't really expecting that. Did I make a mistake here? Oh, I did make a mistake. What mistake did I make here? This is going to get me the space exactly, right? That's at the position space. I want to go from the space to the end. So I want to have a little colon after that. Let's try that one more time. 123 minutes this time. Okay, and you can see I have 123 and I have this little extra space before minutes. So if you were checking it, you would want to make sure that the second part, basically, for the unit checking, right? You want to see if the unit is equal to minutes. But the thing is, with that extra space, this one's going to give me false, right? Take a look at what this does. It's going to blow your mind, right? If I print out this condition, what is this one going to print for me? 123 minutes, right? It actually prints false, right? So that does not equal the word minutes. It equals the word space minutes, which can be a little confusing if you weren't aware of it, right? So that's why it's always important to print out our slices to make sure that they're actually slicing the way we want. It's very tricky. Like, I still make this problem. I just made the problem like literally on the screen 2 minutes ago, right? Where I didn't slice it correctly. So always make sure you're printing that shit out, because it's very easy to miss. All right. But now we've separated it out, and we figured out that we want to go 1 after the space probably. So let me go ahead and make that space plus 1. So at this point, we need to check if it's a number, right? We want to check that the number is a number. We want to check that the unit is something like minutes. Well, the unit one's probably easy, right? We want to see if it equals the word minutes, basically. We could probably improve it, but let's just start with that, right? If it equals the word lowercase minutes. This is going to be print invalid format. Oops, let me put it in quotes. Still no comments. All right. Guess people are okay watching, just watching. Right, so if the unit is minutes, we want to say invalid input. Should be something like hashtag minutes, like a number in minutes. I'm going to make that more of an English sentence. All right. So that was just going to check for minutes. Let's just see if that one works, right? So if I put in 15 hours, I'm going to get nothing. Did I put in the wrong space? If unit equals minute. Oh, what am I doing here? I'm checking if it equals minutes. It's invalid. So I got to flip this condition, obviously, right? We want to know if it's not equal to minutes. It's invalid. Let's go ahead and play that. 123 minutes. Total speed. Oh, it's still not printing out this. Oh, because it equals minutes. You're so dumb, Mike. God, you're bad at this. You want to enter hours to check this. Right, that'll be an invalid unit. Invalid input should be number minutes. Okay. All right, I figured that out. I know what I'm doing. All right, so that's one thing we want to check, but as is, this is going to allow us to do some weird things, like negative 12 minutes. Right, that's going to be allowed by our program. So we also want to check if the first part is a digit. It also allows something like this, like A minutes, right? A minutes. Right, I don't get that error message out. I mean, I'm getting the error here because I haven't converted to an integer, but we're going to fix that up once we fix up this other part. So basically, we want to say if the unit is minutes, if the unit is not minutes, or if the number is not a digit, basically. So we'd want to say or number dot is digit. We're going to say not number is digit to invert it. All right, so if the unit is not minutes or the number is not a digit, we should have invalid input. Let's try to test that out. I know we're still going to have error because of this thing. Don't panic. We're going to get there in a second. Let's just see how far I can get with this. So 123 minutes. Okay, that one it accepted. Let's try, which it should have. Let's try negative 123 minutes. I got the invalid input message. Great. Okay, so this is catching what I want it to. Let's go ahead and play it again. Let's try something with hours. 2 hours. All right, still invalid input. Notice how I'm kind of doing this program, right? I'm trying to think of what values could mess this condition up. What other values could? We didn't do a letter, right? Like minutes. That should be rejected too. Let's try minutes. Okay, we're still getting invalid input. So it looks like this condition's working. Now the question is, how am I going to make the prompt repeat? Right? How am I going to make the prompt repeat when it's incorrect? So all we really have to do here, well, I mean, if we were doing it one time, let's say we wanted to give the user one extra shot, we could literally just copy and paste this crap, right? The way that would work logically, basically, is ask for a day, If the unit is not minutes or it's not a digit, we're going to ask them again, right? That's the basic way. That's basically what these 4 lines of code do. They do the asking and the splitting, right? So we ask it again and we split it up again. All right, so let's go ahead and play that. So if we enter something wrong, we should be asked again. Let's try that out. So let me try something like negative 123 minutes. Invalid input, and I get my second prompt. Right, so let's just go through exactly how that one's working, because it is a little tricky. Right, we're asking, we're splitting, we're checking, and if the check is good, right, if one of these conditions are met, that means the user messed up. They made a mistake. So we're just going to ask again and split things up. I guess people didn't want to stick around for the rest of that. That's okay. Maybe people will come later. So, okay, so now we want to make sure, well, the problem with this is now if I enter again, right, like if I make the same mistake again, now it's going to continue on. So how can I make this loop, right? I want this to continue as long as this condition is true, right? As long as there's a mistake somewhere in the input. Easy way to do that is just to turn this into a while. Now, why does that work? Why would I just turn it into a while? Well, think about it. If this works for one time, if I make this while, that just means it's going to keep repeating this until it's good, right? That's kind of how I'm thinking about this. All right, so now let's take a look at how this behaves. Save it, play it. 123 minutes. Oh, I still got to fix that error, right? So let's go ahead and fix that error now. Actually, before that, sorry. Let me go ahead and try to demonstrate the error before I go fixing any errors, right? So let's try a bad input, negative 123 minutes. Okay, negative 123 minutes. 123 hours. 12 minutes, missing the space. All of those are rejected. So far, so good. Now, our next error to solve is when the user enters correctly. What is causing this error? Unsupported operand types for plus equals, int and string. This is telling us that we're adding an integer to a string somehow. What's the integer? What's the string? Screen time starts out as a string, right? Because it takes the value from input. So we need to make sure that we convert it to a number at some point. A good place to convert it to number might be after we pass this check, right? If both of these conditions become false, that means the input is good, and that means that the number is a digit. So now all we have to do is convert that number equals int number, right? That'll take the integer version of the number. And of course, now we don't want to add the screen time, because the screen time holds the whole kit and caboodle, right? We just want to add the number, right? We only want to compare the number too. Right, getting closer to a full program here. Let's go ahead and run this through. 123 minutes. Let's go ahead and make a mistake. Negative 12 minutes. Oh, well, okay, didn't like that. Let's try 12 minutes. Oh, I made a mistake here. What happened here? Okay, so it's giving me the same thing. Unsupported between instance of int and string. Why is that one happening? But it's a number here. Let me run that one more time. Let's see where this is happening. 12 minutes. It's happy with that. Negative 12 minutes. Invalid should be that. So it asks again. But it's okay with the conversion. Worst time. Worst time's an integer. Well, I'm in doubt, so let's start printing things out, right? So let's try to see if we can print out the number. Because obviously something's going wrong with this number here. Let's try to figure it out. 12 minutes. Okay, so we got the number 12. Negative 12 minutes. Invalid should be a thing. Okay. Now we put in 12 again. It has the number 12, but it's still saying int and string. What's going on here? It's happy with it here. If number greater than worst time. Oh, I see what the, okay, I was not paying attention to the error. All right, let's reread that error again. No, it's saying line 20. But it's wrong. Oh, no, it's not wrong. Okay. Here's what's happening, guys. This is actually a pretty esoteric error. So what's happening? I'm putting screen time in the worst time at some point. The very first one is always going to be bigger than the screen time, right? But if that's not a number, right, I'm not putting the number in, right? I'm putting in the whole phrase. So let's actually print out the worst time. It's going to be a lot clearer if I do that. Right, so something's going wrong with worst time. Let me show you what happens. 12 minutes, negative 12 minutes, 12 minutes. It's still giving me 12, which is not what I expected. Did I save this? Hold on, one more time. 12 minutes. So the worst time's 0. Negative 12 minutes. Invalid. 12 minutes. Huh. Why is it not? Oh, wait, no, here it is. Here it is. I was reading quickly. Right? So this was the worst time. It's the whole phrase, 12 minutes. That's not a number, right? So that tells me that I'm adding the wrong screen time here. Right? I want to make this equal to the number. Kind of a tricky logic error there. Right? You might have ran into something like that on the midterm, but that's how I would go about kind of figuring that out, right? It's printing out the variables and seeing which one's causing the problem. All right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and make sure that this works now. So we have 12 minutes, negative 12 minutes. All right, we're still not updating. So now we try 12 minutes. And the worst time was 12 because of the last one, but now we're continuing on. All right, great. So this is now working. Let's go ahead and add some more things. 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes. All right, 50, 274. Well, this is the worst time, right? So it's keeping track that the worst time is 50. So our total is 274. Our average is 39. Worst time 50. And the worst day that happened was 3. So in this case, I kind of just went with whichever day that happened first. Like, that was okay. I wasn't too specific on that in the problem. Okay, we are close, guys. So now we have the input format pretty much exactly right? We can't break our inputs. So now let's focus on the printing out part. So in this one, I always like to have kind of the example up with me, which is going to be this guy. Right, we have this heading here. We have total on the left, number on the right, average on the left, blah, blah, blah. Right, that's how we kind of want to label it. All right, so the first part, and I was surprised how many people got tripped up on this, and people are still getting tripped up on this, so hopefully this will make it clear. When you want to print the heading, all you're really doing is printing out this thing, right? It's kind of like if I told you to start with the word hello, right? You would just print the word hello above it. Right? I could print like done at the end of the program. Done. Like, let's see what that one looks like. And let me just make this a little easier myself. Let me go ahead and copy this. Copy. All right, we'll just paste this a bunch of times. Okay, and done, right? That's just a phrase, just like anything else. So if I wanted to print on the screen, right, that whole phrase, all I really got to do is copy it, stick it right in quotes. Right, that's it. I'll put a little extra space in between too, just to make it fancy. Okay, so let's take a look at how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and copy 50 minutes again. You know, actually, before I run this, let me take out this debug print statement, because this is tripping me up. Get rid of that print statement. All right, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes, 50 minutes. All right, and now we got that heading, screen time, total, average worst day, and the day that that happened. So far, so good. At the end, I think that's also pretty self-explanatory. But there's a couple ways you could have did this. You could have literally copied this, but that's no fun. Who wants to just copy and paste stuff? We could use string operators to automate that last piece for us, right? So if I want to print a character 25 times, I can just do times 25, right? That's going to be 25 dashes in a row. Do that. Copy this guy. And I do testing like this all the time, guys. Whenever I make even the smallest change, I test everything from the beginning. All right, so we're getting there. Now we just gotta push the numbers in the right place and do maybe some clever calculations with them. First, let's put stuff on the left of the numbers. So putting stuff on the left isn't so hard. Prints can print multiple values at a time. Right, so I could have total on the left here, comma total. That'll put the word total, and I'll put the number total on the right. Let's do that same thing for the rest. I'll go ahead and press play. Copy it, paste 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 it. All right, we're getting something close to a report here now. Okay, so you notice that the things are all kind of on the left side. So let's take a look at some of the instructions here. The category and the value must be left justified in order to space the report correctly. The category can be justified to 15 spaces. So the big clue here was to use the ljust function, right, to left justify the text. All you have to do there is tack on ljust at the end of the word, and that'll make it fit into that many spaces. Now, I might be off by one here because print does add spaces in between, but I'm not 100% sure, so let's run it and see. All right, let's play it. 50, 50, 50, 50. Let's throw a monkey wrench in there with 500. Oh no, I can't do that. I have to type it out. Persons. Okay, now we have total 800, average 114, worst time is 500, worst day is 5. We're getting there, guys. Last part of this is just to give it the units that we wanted. All right. So we basically need to split this up into hours and minutes, right? That's our goal here. So let's talk about how we would do it in general. So how would we say, like, two numbers formatted with an M and an H next to it, right? Let me actually pull up Online Python to kind of do that separately. All right, so how would I do this? So say we had something like the hour is 2 and the minutes is 30. Right, let's just say for the sake of argument, that's what we had. If I wanted to put this in a string to format, I'll do the percent style one for this one. We have two numbers, one for the hours, one for the minutes. Okay, and then we want to put those variables in the hour first, the minutes after. Go ahead and play that. Oops, I made a mistake. I forgot to put an equal sign. Let's try that again. Cool, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Pretty cool. Right, so that's the format we're looking for. We want to print something like this. Let's stick that in for the total here. Now the question is, how am I going to get the hours from the total? Well, we know that 60 minutes are in an hour. So if we had 2 hours, for example, that's 120 minutes. So that's kind of division, right? 120 divided by 60 is 2 hours, right? So that's kind of how we would do that conversion. So we would do the same thing to total. We would divide it by 60. And we'll do integer division to round it down. How am I going to get the leftover part, though? Well, we know an operator for that, right? We know how to divide and get a remainder of something. That is going to be the modulo operator. That's going to look something like this, right? So let's take this case of like 125 minutes. Divided by 60 goes in twice. There's 5 left over, right? So 125 modulo 60 is going to be the value of 5. All right, let's pause there. Before we even continue on, let's go ahead and run it, make sure that that's the format we want. Go ahead and copy to make it quicker. 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 55. Okay, that is looking good. Right, 5 hours, 50 minutes, which sounds about right, because I put 50 like a million times, so it'd be surprising if it didn't end in 50. All right, and the worst time, of course, would be 50, because there's no biggest time, and the worst one would be 1, because that's the first day the 50 happened. All right, so let's take this same format and apply it to all the rest of these guys. So for this one, the average, this might be, maybe it'd be better to put this in a separate variable. Right, so instead of the total, let's put the average like something like this. Like the average is just going to be total all over 7. That way I can put average right in here to make it easy for me. Okay, same deal for worst time, right? That one's in minutes, so just worst time. Worst time. Okay, and this last one is a little bit of an oddball, right? So this one isn't going to be in minutes and hours. It's going to be like something days ago. So in this one, we can just tack this on the end. Days ago. Right, that'll put it one space after the worst day. Let's go ahead and run that. We'll stick with 50 just to make it simple. 50. Let's do 150 to throw in something in there. 50, 50, make a mistake. 50, 50, 50. All right, looking pretty good, although it looks like we're off by 1 space here, right? See how that O's hanging over there? So that tells me my L just is probably off by 1. But other than that, this is looking pretty much exactly like the example. So let's just bump that down to 14, check it. Copy this boy. 150. 50, 50, 50, 50, yeah. All right, and there we go. That's exactly what we were looking for our report. And that is pretty much the midterm, guys. I don't think there was any other details that I missed here. Let me just double check. All right, let's go through all these criteria. We have 3 variables to keep track of the total screen time, the highest, and the day with the worst. We have 7 prompts. We separate those prompts into a number and an integer part to check them. We print out a report with this heading, with the values separated by some space, and they're presented in the hours that we want. Oh, we did forget something, right? So I would have taken points off this. Finally, a message indicating whether they're over the recommended average screen time. Right, so at the very end here, we have to check if the average is over minutes or hours. Depends on how you want to do it, right? So in this case, the unit's in minutes. So let's compare it to 120 minutes, right? That's 2 hours. So if the average is over 120, we're going to print you are over the recommended. Otherwise, we are doing well. All right, and let's go ahead and finish it off. All right, so let's make an average we're under. So we're doing 50 minutes a day. Pretty unrealistic, but let's say that's what we were doing. Take a look. You're doing well. If I do something a little more crazy, like 150 a day, maybe I should do this a little smarter than that. Copy this. You're over the recommended. All right, let me just go ahead and zoom out, put that whole code so everybody can kind of see from beginning to end how that looks. Is that still good? Yeah, you can read that. All right, so that's how the program looks beginning to end. Last thing I might do for this is add my comments at the top. All right, so what's this program doing? It's a screen time calculator. Calculate. It's a report of our screen time for the week. Okay, so for each day in the week, format is incorrect. Ask again. If we get here, number is digit, dot is digit, is true. And I think this is all kind of explains itself, right? That's just printing out stuff. Okay, so there is the whole program, guys. Look at it in glory. And I think that's going to wrap up the stream for tonight. So let me go ahead and stop recording. I'll go ahead and kind of splice that up a little bit so it's a little bit quicker for people to watch. But for anybody who did catch it live and didn't leave a comment or was hoping to like talk or anything, I only got that little hi. That's a shame. Maybe next time Squad will give me a good question and tell me who he is. All right. Signing off for now. Thanks for anybody who came by and watched. And I'll have that midterm up. I'll have this clipped up for you guys. Hopefully by Friday. All right. See you later, Internet. Nice talking to you.